Good morning. I'm Victor Yellum, and I'm here today with Shala Nicely. She's a licensed professional counselor with a specialty in anxiety disorders and particularly OCD, as well as an author on that topic. And she's here today for a few brief pointers on how to help our clients deal with anxiety regarding the coronavirus. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Right, so let's get right down to it. What are three things that therapists can do to help their clients deal with the prevalent and understandable anxiety that they and we are feeling about this pandemic?
Sure. The first thing that I would remind people of is that if they're going to push their anxiety away, which is a very normal and natural reaction because nobody really enjoys anxiety, but if they push it away, they're going to make it worse. And so accepting anxiety in this current situation will work a lot more effectively. When people label their anxiety as bad and try to make it go away, their brains are going to misinterpret the anxiety as being a problem and will just dump more stress chemicals into their bodies and make them more anxious. So reminding people that anxiety is okay. It doesn't feel good, but they can tolerate it, they can handle it, and accepting it is likely to be much more effective than trying to make it go away.
Okay, so that's somewhat counterintuitive because usually, I guess for ourselves, we want our anxiety to go away and we think clients are coming to us to help them manage their anxiety. So often the impulse is, what can we do to help them manage their anxiety and help that anxiety at least go to lower levels?
It's a very paradoxical approach, but extremely effective. Being able to accept and sometimes even welcome the anxiety in and say, yeah, I expected you to be here, anxiety, but it's okay. I can tolerate you. I can handle you. You're welcome to be here with me, is a really powerful tool for being able to effectively be with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me just one more question about that because I know you adapt a cognitive approach. You consider yourself a cognitive therapist. It would seem often, I think the stereotype of cognitive therapy is we're trying to help people see that their anxiety or other beliefs are irrational, and you're saying no, not at all. It's normal to have anxiety, and it's really learning how to accept it. Am I missing something there?
No, I think it's very normal to have anxiety, and it's a very normal reaction to try to push it away. And I think that by normalizing the experience of it, it also helps people be better able to say, of course, I'm experiencing this, and I can tolerate this, and this is okay.
All right. Okay. So what's the second thing that you can do to help your clients?
The second thing is around uncertainty. This situation is so incredibly scary because there are so many unknowns, and unknowns generate a tremendous amount of fear. But we already have really good mental muscles for tolerating uncertainty. You can remind your clients that every day they are likely to get into a car, either as a driver or a passenger, and get on the road and not think a thing about it. But it's one of the most uncertain and dangerous things that we participate in every day. And we don't, again, think anything about it. Bringing people's awareness to the fact that they're already tolerating a tremendous amount of uncertainty in their everyday lives helps them to recognize they do already have these mental muscles that they can apply to the current situation.
Okay. How do if you tell a client that, do they say, "Oh, great," and they feel better, or how do you work with them around that to kind of make it stick more?
I think if you can give them examples like driving a car, like the fact that most people leave their homes every day with the expectation when they get home, their families and their homes are all going to be back and be there. And most of the time that happens, right? I know people aren't leaving their homes as much now, but that's just another example. And I think when you bring those examples up with people, they get a little bit of an aha moment like, wow, I've never considered that before.
Uh-huh.
So it's helping them understand they have some capabilities they're not even recognizing. And I think those aha moments help them change their perspective as they go forward.
Okay. And a final point or idea that can be helpful that therapists can use right now with their clients.
help people to be self-compassionate. Everyone is experiencing a tremendous amount of emotions right now, everything from fear to guilt to sadness, to just overwhelm and stress. And I think we can have a tendency to beat up on ourselves for having all these emotions, feeling like I shouldn't be having these. I should be more in control. I should be managing all this better. That creates really a hostile psychological environment for people that is just going to make things worse because we're already scared and then we're basically scaring and beating up on ourselves for being scared. And so instead, it's much better to be self-compassionate, to mindfully accept all those feelings and say, of course I'm scared. Of course I'm feeling all this. Everybody is. And I'm going to give myself a break. I'm going to do things to take care of myself as I would care for a beloved family member. I'm going to make it okay for myself to be how I am in this situation. That really provides people with a level of support that allows them to use all the other tools they already have more effectively.
Okay, that's a good lesson for all of us and a reminder for all of us in good times and in bad times. I guess one question I had is, are there any different shifts you might take or perspectives you might take, strategies you might take, if you're dealing with someone who already, as your clients generally have, pre-existing primary anxiety disorders, you know, OCD or other anxiety disorders, versus someone who's been in your practice for other reasons and now dealing with anxiety? Is your approach going to be different at all?
I think my approach will be a little bit different in that I will help them understand that they're probably experiencing a heightened level of fear and anxiety beyond what the average person might be experiencing, and that's okay. I think the other thing I would do is help them to make some rules that they can follow, because their anxiety disorder or their OCD is going to want to make rules. But for instance, I tell my clients with OCD, I know your OCD thinks it's the CDC, but it is not. So pick some guidelines like from the CDC or the World Health Organization and follow those. And recognize OCD does not have the authority to be telling you how to wash your hands. Finally, what I would remind people, especially who've been through exposure and response prevention therapy for OCD or anxiety disorders, is they actually have above average skills to deal with all this, because exposure and response prevention teaches people to be masters of anxiety and uncertainty, to welcome it in, to embrace it, to be able to tolerate it well. So people who've been through ERP because they have an anxiety disorder or OCD are actually really well prepared beyond what everybody else would be prepared for to deal with this situation. And I think that makes people turn around their own perspective on themselves. Instead of feeling bad that they have a disorder, they're like, wow, I have extra skills because I've done such hard work to overcome my disorder.
Okay, well, thank you so much for these pointers. We're going to get this video out to our colleagues right away, and I think these will be helpful things for them to keep in mind as they continue their work, although often through video as we're connecting right now. But there's a lot of people out there that are suffering, that are anxious, and I think these pointers will be quite helpful to them. So thank you very much.
Thanks again for having me.